Kaiju number 8, chapter 19. We a couple of our predictions were right, I guess, from last week.
Mainly yours,
And
if I remember. Oh yeah, I guess yours and a little, probably like 25% of mine because we do see her.
yeah, you're right. You're right. And she's definitely oh my god. She's definitely going to play, I guess, a bit of a role. I think she's going to end up coming in to save the day. Like, I think, she'll be like, "Oh, Captain, I'm going to take it on." And then, she'll use that as an excuse to let Kefka get away or something like that. But that remains to be seen. Yeah, it was kind of funny, though. You were right, because that was like the very first character you saw, other than, of course, like Reno. So that was pretty surprising, in all honesty.
Yeah.
And,
going on to just a quick thing from these 2 pages, the first and the second one, where like it's essentially a flashback.
Yeah.
One thing I could say I'm not really big on. I couldn't really. I mean, I could tell it's a flashback because by reading it, but I feel like visually, like the panel, it doesn't like indicate it is. If you know what I mean.
No, I agree. There should have been like a little disclaimer saying,
like 2 hours,
10 minutes ago or something like that.
10 minutes ago. Yeah, I don't know why I said 2 hours, but yeah, something like that. Like to kind of like indicate like, okay, this is what happened before, because like the paneling structure, or like I guess even like the way it's the same as the rest, compared to like, let's say there's a backstory or even a back like it happened in the same time, but it's only a few minutes ago or an hour ago. Usually like there's probably a different shade of like black or gray, whatever, because these are drawn in black and white.
Yeah, it's like faded. I know what you mean, to give that of it's a memory. Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. Or like Tariko, I know, or Tariko and Bill King does it like, instead of like how panels are square usually, like he does it like more like not a circular shape but curve, I guess.
Really? I'd have to go back and double check that.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize that.
If you ever realize, like, let's say it's like that flashback within like the chapter, or like within itself, happens a few hours, it's a different paneling style. So that's one thing I could say. Like, it's not like a bad thing, but I just noticed it. Like, I feel like I wonder if, I don't know, I find it very weird, where like, not that you could be lost, of course, but I'm just, I guess, used to like
very clear indicators saying, "Hey, here's what just happened." No, I get you.
And I feel like that would have been important too, because like, let's say, I don't know, I just forgot what happened last week, and like, okay, it was, I don't know, something like that.
No, I agree. I get you for sure. Moving into the content of the chapter itself. So right away, I guess we can kind of see she's panicking, right? Like that's very Kikoru. She, like, it's like, oh crap, that's not a good thing. She's pissed that he got caught so early, but given the circumstances, I don't really think there was much of a choice.
Of course,
but I can't believe it. I think actually the most interesting thing for me in this chapter was on page 5, where we get the full realization that the fungus kaiju actually doesn't have a clue that he's a human.
Yeah.
Or, well, sorry, my apologies. I guess it's actually it's the next page over, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where he takes the shots for them. Yeah, sorry, my apologies. It's 6, because he says, for a kaiju, you've got some human-like behavior. So that's definitely him not knowing that Kafka is actually kaiju number 8. So I found that interesting, because that makes me wonder, what's the relationship between the other humanoid kaijus? Are they all are they not allies? Is there no sort of like league, if you will, or are they just all acting independently, or is there a plot?
That's a good point. I personally feel like there's probably like I don't want to say a bigger team, but like we said before in the previous chapters, like kaijus are like kind of still discovering about humans. If you want, not still discovering, but like, oh, okay, they use radio waves and this and that, like, so they're trying to like, I guess, adapt, so to speak.
Yeah, and get more knowledge. Yeah, they're basically doing research. Yeah, for sure. I thought that, honestly, though, I just thought that was surprising. Sorry, I just like words are not coming to me today. But yeah, it was a nice, I guess, confirmation of that fact, and gives us it adds a little mystery to the relationship of all of the humanoid kaijus and what's going on in the background.
Nah, for sure. And well, he got away, so there's that. And we're definitely gonna see him again, which I'm not against that, if I'm being honest. I'm a fan of when manga have like a villain not rivalry, but like okay, like until we see him next time, we're like, yeah, we know he's not the big bad. He's probably like again like a subclass of like something else, like way stronger. So and it actually makes you makes you more, I don't want to say attached to a villain or a like what's the word, antagonist, which I guess in certain chapters he is, right? But like it just like okay, I can't wait to see more like in a way like oh man, I hope he's probably learned now that he learned how his Kaiju number 8 form is. He's probably gonna come back stronger, and how is he gonna like react to that? Kefla.
To be honest, you know what I could actually see this kind of turning into? I think it would be Reno's next kind of challenge to overcome, because Reno got bodied in this fight, right? He was getting shot left, right, and center. They did the best they could with the situation, but they still ended up losing. So I think that when this Fungus Kaiju comes full circle, we're definitely going to see Reno taking him on again, and it's going to be Reno kind of having not PTSD, but he's going to have that fear again and think to himself, oh, this guy was toying with me last time. I can't have that same situation. I can't be saved by Kefka again. So I need to, I need to be stronger. I need to be better. So I think he's going to be the plot progression, I guess, to push Reno forward and make Reno stronger. And we'll see his development when these two confront again in the future.
No, I agree. For sure, especially now that like they know a little bit of his abilities.
Exactly.
How to overcome that, for sure. And I guess moving on to more of the chapter where like you rescue those guys. I wonder if that's gonna come back later, where like those two randos like we just got rescued by a kaiju.
Like, kaiju, yeah, he took the bullets for us, right?
Yeah, but but furthering on where like he's escaping and stuff like that. Ooh man, you were right. The vice captain.
Oh, I know, right? He comes in, he's just ready to grab those blades. He looks like snake-like and devilish as hell, and you're thinking to yourself, "Oh, this is not going to be good in any way, shape, or form." I think the defining moment for that for me was when he actually radioed it in. I was thinking maybe at first he wouldn't do that, but instantly went to that level, and I thought to myself, "Oh, that's not good." I guess it kind of helps because maybe she can make it to assist, but we'll have to see.
And it's kind of crazy because, like, well, yeah, I could definitely see that. What's surprising too is, we see his childhood friend kind of react to it, well, at least listen to it. You think she knows? I don't think so.
Not
right?
a clue. Not a clue. No way. No way. I think she still thinks he's a joke, and that there's nothing there, right? Because they were both talking high and mighty as kids. Oh, I'm going to join the defense force, and we're going to do that, and all these types of things. So him failing to do that, and this happening now, no, I don't think she has any idea. The other thing that I thought was interesting was the oh my god, the vice captain, sorry, couldn't think of the word. He instantly assumes that it's Kefka, even though they're nowhere close to the actual battle scene. I found that a little odd, to be honest. That connection doesn't really make sense. I guess it does because there's no other humanoid kaiju, but I don't know. Actually, I guess if you put all of the circumstances together, it kind of does make sense,
Well,
because they ran into the fungus guy. There was no radio contact, so they couldn't actually describe which one it was. All they knew was that the humanoid kaiju had been reported by that backup team. So, oh, but wait, couldn't the backup team have been like, oh no, it wasn't this particular one, it was a different one? So I just find the jump to the fight is almost like...
Well, it's not. I don't think it's more that. It's because okay, so in the last chapter when Kefla was facing against the mushroom kaiju, mushroom kaiju was basically like he was like done on the floor. When the squad mates, the two with the masks that came in later, they just saw Kefla, so they just assumed that like the humanoid that they reported before is kaiju number 8.
I agree.
So it makes sense for the vice captain to like, oh, okay, he's the one that like been attacking my crewmate.
I can't argue with that, but then considering that he takes the shots from the fungus kaiju for them, I'm surprised that information doesn't get relayed. because that would be the first thing, if we were about to get like murdered by a kaiju and then another kaiju jumped in the way to protect us, the first thing I would be radioing in is, oh, yo, we just got protected by this kaiju, we have no idea what's going on, be advised, and then like something of that nature. But
they're a bunch of. First of all, they wear a mask, so like
they're super super side character. I got you.
yeah,
I know.
We're like they don't even have distinct features. So I think that's and they're just taking care of their teammates. So I think that they're more worried about that. If we're gonna kind of put if you want to put like a little bit of logic, but I know what you mean. It's like, well, they should have probably done this and that.
Agreed. So the other thing too is I like how the focus is always split with Reno. Reno is always making an appearance in the chapters no matter what. And I think we're going to see a heck of a lot more focus on him. And I like that because too often side characters can get relegated to you don't really know what they're doing. And that can be really odd, when somebody kind of disappears for a while and then they just pop back up and it's, oh, I'm super powerful now. I'd actually think of Kingdom Hearts as a pretty good example. For a lot of each of the Kingdom Hearts games, you have no clue what Riku is doing, and he's like arguably the second most important character. So you're sitting there thinking to yourself, "Where's Riku?" Exactly, and then he just pops up now and again. So I like that this focus is very split. I think it's gonna just help, drive the character development, keep people interested, and it's just nice to see when shonens don't go, all gung ho for just the main character and only the main character. So
I agree. And especially with the side characters. I mean, even the reason I'm a fan of this chapter and I liked it, aside from like the beginning was a little like that was weird. I like that how we see, I guess, other characters' abilities through Kefla, who is essentially the main hero, but also a bad guy, if you well, not a bad guy, but like his appearance is obviously like the main enemies of like the hero group, So it's pretty cool that like we see the vice captain, and going back further into the chapter where like, oh wow, like what he mentioned before where he's like good against, mid-sized like kaiju, we see that ability. And I don't think we would have seen that anywhere else, probably later down the story, of course, but like I think it's a good like counter, where you have your main character who you're like cheering for, but who's also obviously visually he looks like a villain. And then we see like who's the hero side, like who we see with the vice captain, and we see his abilities where we probably could have seen like in any other shonen where like, oh, he's the vice captain, and we see him face against another kaiju. And not
you mean it's in the sense that he's like facing off against the main character, but he doesn't know he's facing off. That's an interesting thing. I like that as well. That kind of brings me to the question that I was going to ask where, well, first of all, what do you think of the vice captain? And second of all, how much do you love that panel when he's just in his face with the knife? I couldn't believe it. Like I said, snake characters, you never know what to expect from these guys. And I loved it because it went from, Reno being like having his conflict to that last panel of Kefka, and then you switch pages and it's like boom, there's a knife at his neck, and you're thinking to yourself, whoa, is this fight over already?
Well, it's so funny because like against a human being, especially during the before that encounter, or I guess during the encounter, Kefla is in a like small like narrow way, if you know what I mean. So that's like
he's in an alleyway. Yeah.
That's like a perfect environment for the vice captain.
Oh, that's true too, right? Because it's a cramped area. He's a close quarter combat guy. That's very, very true.
So it's not in his favor, but then afterwards, he kind of like slashes him out. But yeah, it's pretty crazy, like to see like, oh man, our main character's facing another basically hero, right? Another pseudo main character. We're like, oh shit, that's not supposed to happen. So,
agreed. And it's interesting too because following up on, I guess, kind of further developing that thought is, there's a killing intent because when you look at page 4 or 15 rather, he's like, oh, guess I'll have to really let you have it, and it's Kefka's inner thoughts, and he's like, this is what Vice Captain Hoshina looks like when he's killing Kaiju, and he's got like one eye that's just completely black, like full of like lifeless emotion, and then the other one's almost like a Rinnegan or like a target, where okay, you're my target, I'm going to take you down kind of thing. And that just like further develops what you're saying, where this isn't a sparring match, he's trying to kill him with every single intent, and that's very obvious when we come to the final page or with the double spread where it's like, oh, requesting permission for limiter removal. And then he just jumps to 92%. I couldn't believe that, to be honest with you. That I wasn't expecting that number, because
he's basically telling headquarters, I'm taking off my weights, like my ankle weights, Rock Lee style.
Yeah, literally. Oh, can I do this? Okay, cool. And just it drops everything to the ground. It creates mini craters. It was crazy. I didn't expect that high of a number, because they've already commented on how even for some vice captains and a lot of the soldiers, it's very difficult to, break into the higher percent thresholds. So, I was thinking maybe 75% as a max. And he's like, no, I'm almost 100%. I wonder if he can even access that 8% extra, or if it's more like,
this is his max.
Exactly. That would be interesting to me. Can he not quite hit 100%? Is he just on the brink of it? Or is it more like that would damage their bodies so they can't actually do 100%, especially for someone like him, where he's an in fighter, as I guess you would call it, right? So 100% could definitely be dangerous for your muscles and stuff like that.
And I'm curious how long he could last in that form, and like Kefla definitely needs to get away. Talking about like what's the next chapter gonna happen, and it's gonna be pretty sick because like could he do like sword slashes? Could he like cut a building in half or something like that? With going.
Oh, for sure, dude. If we don't see a building cut in half, I'm gonna be a little disappointed. I'm not gonna lie. This guy's using 92% of the strength. We saw, the main captain was sitting there with a railgun shooting down a kaiju that was like the size of 17 buildings. And so if this guy can't cut through a building, I'm going to be thinking to myself, what are you doing with your life? You need to go back to basics, apparently, if you can't cut a building in half with 92% of your power.
And it's kind of funny because like we might see what you said a few chapters ago, where like you think Kefla might lose, where he demolished the
that's very possible.
like going against I guess first of all going against someone who's pretty good at killing kaijus, right? Especially at close quarters, and mid-size kaijus, who Kefla, I guess he is essentially because he is a humanoid. And also Kefla's going against like he can't fight back because he's going against his teammate.
Very, very, very true.
So he's gonna definitely be on the back step.
It's interesting too, actually, because you can see there's a little bit of, I guess, almost fear in Kefka at the end, because it's his arm almost shaking in that top set of panels on the right hand side, right? So that's I think that just speaks to the power of the captain. And what's also really exciting, I think, about this chapter from a plot perspective is that we're getting a better picture of the power levels in the series.
That's true. I agree.
Because when it's over 9,000 too early or too late, it's not as impactful. Or if everything just kind of gets blown out of the water, there's so many bad ways to do power levels. So I like that we had the kaiju on kaiju fight to kind of get an idea of where he's at, but now you've got like an elite kaiju killer ready to go off with everything he can possibly muster. Also, so I think that's going to be cool too.
Also, that last panel is pretty sick. It's a pretty cool pose. I mean, just like the shit. I mean, the stuff that he says before, like requesting permission for limiter removal. Just like anything that has limiter and then removal is like just pretty.
I agree. It's always a pump up moment, right? As a reader, you're thinking to yourself, "Oh, snap!"
Like there's more. Like you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Yeah. So that's always enjoyable to read, and his pose in there is pretty cool, like very hero-esque Spider-Man. You know what I mean?
That's kind of the vibe I got too, right? Or almost, again, snake-like. He's getting ready with his fangs, right? He's kind of ready to pounce. He's like curling up, sort of thing again. Just to, continue with that idea of the snake motif for this kind of character. So
awesome, man. Well, I got nothing else to say about the chapter. Other than that, I liked it, other than the beginning. But I mean, not that I didn't dislike the beginning, but it was very like I feel like
a little jarring, right?
He could have done some indicators with that for sure.
I agree, and I think just again going forward, we're going to be hitting 2 volumes next week, so that's really, really exciting. I think we'll have to do a full-on editorial just on the series because I think 2 volumes is kind of a good point to do that at. We've got a full 20 chapters at this point. We're getting our feet firmly planted in the world. There's
Uh huh.
still, of course, a good amount of unanswered questions and things in the background that we could definitely use some clarification on. But again, the art in this series has been fantastic from the get-go. There's some interesting plot lines that are already beginning to develop. The characters themselves have been, maybe not overly interesting or supremely interesting, but they fit their roles well, and there's enough substance to each of them that I'm already finding myself fairly invested. So I think that's a really good sign going forward. And yeah, I'm really excited to see where Kaiju number 8 is going to take us.
I agree. And yeah, same here.
Awesome, dude. Let's wrap it up there then, and we'll call it a night.